Adventure in Time, Chapter 8, Racing the Flames. Panic filled the pavilion. Where is it? Find a ladder. Get it out. Doctors and nurses raced up and down the rows of mattresses. They clustered in a little grouping, wringing their hands. They pointed up the rafters, then looked around at the hundreds of people who would never be able to save themselves if the fire spread. Should we try to get him back in the wagon, May said. Lily looked down at Lee, finally resting after his painful, bumpy ride through the city. She couldn't imagine walking him and hurting him again, but if it was the only way to save him from the flames, then— "It's out! They put it out!" someone shouted. Lily's heart unclenched. Thank goodness, they didn't have to make an awful choice. The roar of the building subsided, and a nurse came by to check on Lee. His pulse is nearly back to normal, she said, and smiled at Lily and May. That's good news, and it's safe now, so we don't have to move him. Lily asked just to be certain. For now, the nurse said. One of the policemen got up in the crossbeams and was able to put out the fire. But— she glanced up at the ceiling. But what? May said. The nurse shook her head quickly. The sky is full of embers, and the fire's still spreading. She took Lee's blanket around him and stood up. But we'll face that if it comes. Lily swallowed hard. Thank you. After the nurse left, the girls sat on the floor beside Lee. Ranger flopped down next to them. I never knew you had a dog at the mission house, May said. We didn't, Lily leaned over to scratch Ranger's ear. He showed up this morning after the quake. He came after me when the beam started falling. I'd gone back into the house to try and save our goldfish. She looked down. I'm sorry, May said quietly. She reached over and patted Ranger's head. We had a canary when we first arrived. He used to sing in his corner of the store when I came home from school. Lily swallowed hard and looked up. What's it like there? School? May looked surprised. Well, the teacher's strict, and Someone near the door shouted, and 2 policemen burst into the building. May's mouth hung open with her unfinished thought. What's happening? A nurse ran past them. Come with me, she called, and motioned for them to follow. The fire's returned, she called over her shoulder. Dr. Millar has ordered the building evacuated. We need every able-bodied person to help. What about my brother? May shouted after the nurse. We'll get him out, but you must come with me now. May hesitated, and Lily understood why. Lee looked so small and crumpled on the mattress. How could they leave him? But they had no choice. We must do as she says, May. We'll hurry. We'll come back for him soon. Until then, the dog can watch over him. Lily looked down at Ranger. Stay, she said firmly. Stay with him. We'll come back. Stay. Ranger understood stay. He sat beside Lee's mattress and watched the girls rush after the nurse. The smoke was getting thicker. Ranger stood by the boy's side. His first aid kit was wrapped up in Lily's bedding, still quiet. But the whole building buzzed with rushing fear. All around him, people were shouting and crying, and women hurried by a tiny baby in her hands. Another man limped along, dragging a child on a mattress behind him. Ranger had helped people who were injured before. He'd seen people hurting, but never so many at once. How could he possibly help them all? Lily and May followed the nurse to the big doors that led to the street. The aisles were clogged with people dragging patients on their mattresses. Outside, men flagged down automobiles and horse-drawn carts. The entrance was packed with waiting vehicles. Over here, a man called to them. Lily and May followed the nurse to his side, where a short, plump woman lay passed out on a mattress near a waiting cart. Her head was wrapped with bandages, and her hands were scratched and burned. We need 3 on each side to load her in. Come on, the man said. Lily and May stood next to the man on one side of the mattress, while the nurse and 2 other men squatted down across from them. On 3 now, the man said and counted. 1, 2, 3. They clasped hands under the sagging mattress, lifted it up and shuffled along until they reached the wagon. Then they loaded the woman in, mattress and all. The nurse pointed them towards another mattress. Those closets to the doors had to be moved first to make room for others, like Lee, who were stuck in the middle of the building. Lily coughed on the thickening smoke and looked back into the churning sea of people. How quickly were the flames spreading? Would there be enough carts and automobiles to move everyone? And would there be time? They were racing the fire now, and there was no time to tell who would win.